A wolf. Hi guys, welcome back to Kit Car Direct and MK Sportscars. Make sure you watch right to the end, guys, because we've got something a little bit special. And I think the clipboard there showed you what we've got. Well, before that, we're going to get into the workshop and we're going to start here with the Mazda Turbo. Mazda Turbo, we've been doing this, is getting prepped for IVA now, and we've been on with emissions, which have managed to pretty much solve most of it now. It's pretty much there. We're happy with it. Just got a few other jobs to do for IVA, things like centre mirrors to go in and battery clamps and all of that, because we've had all of this apart just to get it ready for IVA and etc as well. So that car is pretty much dialed in now. Emissions pretty much done. So that's another box ticked. Moving along here, we've got a little striker in. This is somebody I know whose car it is. It's been in rebuild and etc, and we've just got a few little teething jobs to fit on, headlights to do on it, changing them to little smaller ones. It's had new front wings, you see, and they kind of contact when you're on full lock with the headlight, so we're going to be changing those out, and they're a little bit crusty there in places now, but nice little car, and it's got a little CBR 1000R on it actually, so good for 190 horsepower, nice cage, black and green, looks pretty strong on that. We know about this one, that's for sale still. If you're interested, better hurry up, because that one hung around. Black Panther Sport 200 car. If you're looking for a wicked little fast track day road going car, that is the perfect tool. Then we move on over here. Right, next up, it's the Dax Rush Hayabusa Turbo. Now, been on with this car, a couple of bits to do there was left. One of them, a little annoying thing, was actually the accelerator pedal was so close to the brake pedal, which would be hard to see down on here, that when you touch the brake, you're hitting the accelerator at the same time. Even if you wore race shoes, you probably only had about 25 mil between that and the brake pedal. So with that kind of power on tap, which is 315 horsepower this car is making, you can imagine coming up to a junction, it's really hard. So now we've managed to move the accelerator pedal further over this side, and the next thing we did to try and control all that horsepower, because the tyres were quite old on it, we've put some new boots. So we've got some new Toyo R888s on the front. We've got 16-inch wheels, so a 205 on the front, and on the back, so a massive 235 17-inch on here. They're massive tyres, so that should help definitely get that power down, because that's a lot of power. Right, next, while we're over here, we're on to another striker, similar to the other one, but this has got a little Z-Tech in. If you've been following, subscribing. If you haven't, don't forget to subscribe. Been following what's going on with this, with the build. Well, we've put, normally these have a round wing on them, but they were a bit difficult to fit, and it didn't quite meet the width of the tyre, so we've gone with our standard black CSR on here, and in that we fitted the indicators here for the IVA compliance on the corner, and actually on the top, as they do on a striker on this particular one. You could have put them in the nose cone, but the custom wanted them on the top here. And the other thing we did, if you look at the other one we were showing you about clearances, we've actually, this customer's got a 7-inch headlight that they supplied. Adrian and the team have made a nice little nylon extension here. It's exactly the same diameter to make it IVA compliant, and raise the headlight enough so we've got clearance on the front wing here. Got a little bit of U trim obviously for IVA and stuff like that to cover it up around these bits, but that's raised it up nice and high to make that IVA compatible as well. Next thing was a bonnet, because the bonnet fitment, customer supplied some filters which are K&N. They look nice, etc, but we've just teasing it out at the moment to make the bonnet fit. We've just made a nice little oval section here, a little teardrop section, just to get this to fit over the filter. We can extend this a little bit more if we want to, but we've done that so far just so we can got clearances and fit, and then we can fit all the bonnet catches. But that looks nice and clean and tidy. We can either put a bit of mesh in there, etc, bold mesh, etc, clean that up as well. So then we move on to the rear. Right, next up is the rear of the car, which is a pretty little rear on a striker actually, very nice. But the customer again supplied these parts. He's had these billet aluminium bezels made for these LED light combinations, so we've gone with those. It's a bit tight because they're a lot larger obviously than the actual diameter lights, but to compete, basically get them into compliance, they have to be within the 400 mil of the rear arch to comply, so the indicator reflectors, etc. It doesn't matter about reverse lighting here, and obviously then you have to keep the width of the number plate in here as well, which is, so we put one on here because they do check that for IVA. So they're all in, nicely fitted, a little bit of foam on the back and that, clean and tidy, all compliant with IVA. And while we was on the back in here, the customer supplied his seats, and it basically had a 3-point fixing in here rather than a 4-point, so we've welded in new bosses in here for the harnesses as well, with the humpback bridges as well for the extra strength and bracing, because let's be honest, safety is most important thing of all here as well. You know, there's no point in harnesses in there with a little bolt if it's going to snap, and you have, in the event you have the unfortunate incident. So yeah, striker project's moving forward now. Just got the dashboard to finish to fit, and then we can carry on to the next stage. Right, next up is the M&R Vortex with the Mazda turbocharger. Well, project's been a little bit slow progress in this, but we've managed to get moving forward now, because we've had the bits come in that we needed, which was this collector, which is for the downpipe. That's come in, and we've managed to be able to finish the rest of the exhaust system now. So in here we're going, so this collector that comes on the stop here, it starts at a 3-inch and it tapers down to a 2.5 into one of our 2.5-inch silencers, which we know is good for noise. So if you're out for IVA and track days and stuff like that, no point in having something that's super loud. That's been done, and then we've got the Lambda sensor in here, and what we can do then is this will probably have a catalytic converter silencer on it as well, which you can decat if you wanted to at some other point. So next job after this one now is, now this is all done, because it's a one-piece tub, we've had to do all of this first, because then guess what, yeah, we've got to make a hole to get the exhaust system in the bodywork panel. So we now mock this up, make where the hole is going to sit, so that this will slot in and go back up and fit into the vehicle. So yeah, looking good. Joseph's done a great job of that, welding that up, and that allows us to get on with the rest of the project. Right, here we are, it's Radical SR4 time. This has been out for a week or so, because it's been up at our go-to suppliers with dynos, which is Rich and his team at RLM Racing. Always do a great job, know the bike engines inside out, as you know. They work on the cup cars, they build the cup cars with them and Atomic Racing. Of course, if you want to know more about that, hook up Atomic Racing and they'll talk you through all of that if you want to get into your motorsport. This particular one, been on a dyno, made 165 at the wheels, which is pretty much exactly where you would expect it, because it making just over 190 horsepower. You know, there might be some restrictions coming down. You might get another 5 with these filters, etc., and this airbox, it's been custom made for it and everything else. But there's a few little other jobs now. We just got to put all the wiring back in, because we had to change. There were some gremlins in the wiring with a speed sensor picking up as well, which caused the delays for some parts to come in. So now this is done, we can just tackle a few little other jobs that's once the car was running, that we can make sure starts, stops and goes perfectly, and then we can get this back to the owner and he can start sending it out on track. Right, here we go, EXO Booster time. Now, this little car has come into the workshop mainly just to be prepped for sale, really. It's got to have an MOT put in it, it's the last little job to do. But what I can say about it is, with a supercharger booster, as you say, if you want to get your motorsport and your bike engine, this is a cracking car for that. And do you know what? Andy's been out and given it a little test drive. So watch out for that video coming up next, and you get an insight into what it is. And if failing not, if you're happy with seeing what you do in the video, when you come down here and you're really interested in the car, we can strap you in the seats here and take you out for a little demo drive and show you what this 280 horsepower at the wheels, guys, monster will do. Right, chassis production is continuing, guys. We're trying to fly through these. This one's down here ready to go with, guess what? Brake lines, fuel lines, floor pan fitting. So hashtag Mr. Temple, this is your next one that's going out to you. Classic RX5 chassis going on there. Stonking little car this will be once it's built and finished, but we're just going to start the process off for him with the brake lines, fuel lines, floor pan. So if you want to know more about the range, of course, hook up Andy Neil here for, you know, a meeting, conversation, Zoom call, visit to the factory, whichever you want, we can try and sort you out. Right, a couple of little projects that came into the workshop during the week, which go in and out in a day, was Tagtrack Pete Johnson's car, which is a nice little K20 build that he done at home as an own project. It's been to Bourne, Terry down at Bourne Racing, done an awesome job making 260 horsepower out of that car. And we put it on the corner weights here and scaled it all up. Now, come in, terrific numbers on this car. You're talking nearly 450 brake horsepower per tonne or something stupid like that. It's a rapid machine. Been out on it, test drove it, absolute flight. And he's going to be running it around at Blyton Park, giving that a little shakedown. So that was an interesting day. And it actually weighed a little bit less than me. These are like 589 kilos or something like that, this particular car. So that's pretty light. And I think it was only 660 with the driver. That's a car engine car with 260 horsepower. So it is a real weapon. Next up, let's talk about this, guys. 800 brake horsepower per tonne. Well, I tell you what we're going to get into. It's the new Cup 400. So we've got the Cup 200 race series, which you can see the banner on here. still running those, but the Cup 400 is a little bit special. Why? Because it's Rich and his team at RLM Racing and Atomic Racing have strapped on a supercharger onto this. It's a built engine and it's making over 400 horsepower. Now on the day we're running a little bit less because we're still teasing the car in, but the guy has done an amazing job in the Mag 7s for its first outing, second outing at Donington National Circuit. P2 and P3 becoming respectively in the 2 races. And let's see the highlights, guys. Let's go to it now.
And also you've got Richard Webb in the bike-engined MK Cup 200 as well. The most powerful and some of the fastest Caterhams you will see here this weekend about to get underway. The CSCC Magnificent 7, sponsored by Gold Arch Jewellers, and a terrible start. Well, the pole sitter hasn't gone away at all. Christian Pittard has stalled it in the 51. As cars on the grass avoiding him there, and it is, by the look of it, Stephen Nuttall who has got the lead into Redgate for the first time. Watch for number 80, Tim Davis, as he starts to come through, and 81, Johnny Pittard in the black and gold car should be up there very shortly as well. But it is Nuttall who leads, Richard Webb in second, Colin Watson is in third. Webb goes for the lead down into the old hairpin and goes through for the first time, but a disastrous start for our pole sitter Christian Pittard. Was lucky not to get walloped as they came off the grid there.
Yeah, bravo to all the drivers following to spot that car going slowly and avoid, like you say, some having to take to the grass, but it keeps them all in the race, and Pittard will be up and running. There's Stephen Nuttall chasing down then Webb in front of the crowd. Stephen Nuttall is number 46, and if you follow him on the official Caterham Motorsport ladder, you'll know he was the champion in 21 in the 7 Championship UK, which we've just watched. But this is a different machine entirely as he comes down the outside. He's made the outside line work into the Robert chicane. Has he? No, he's still going to. Webb's going to defend back, and these two go side by side. So the outside line is really not working at all. But Nuttall is going to go across the line. A little bit of a gap then back to our third place drivers side by side once more as they go over the line. Nuttall seeing if the outside line to Redgate's going to work, but no, it's Webb going to hold on down the inside.
Yeah, Stephen Nuttall, an incredibly quick driver of all Caterhams, and look,
Stephen Nuttall looks like he's got speed in different places. Webb's really good on those brakes, so Stephen Nuttall managing to outbrake him that time. You can see the slight different stances of these two cars out front. Nuttall's going to see if he can hold on, but Webb's back down the inside. Really good on the brakes, late on the brakes there. Nuttall I've spoken to earlier today, and he's saying he's now got a sequential box with flappy paddles on the back of his steering wheel there to do change it, which is great. Well, number 3's had an accident. Radiator's looking a bit punctured there.
Yeah, that's the number 3 of Jeremy Adam in 5th place. Class G by Richard Carter in 6th. Class D by Ashley Haig Boyles. Class E by number 69 Stephen Collins, who's raced in a variety of Caterham series over the years. William Redman leads Class F. Luke Suru, Class C. Class B is led by the number 21 of Malcolm Ash, and Class A by David Stephen, car number 41. So those are your class leaders. The classes all based on different power outputs and also what tyres the car's using. There's Christian Pittard on his recovery drive. He's got past Forsdyke now, up into P5.
Still there, still lots of time, so 23 minutes left, so still time to break across gaps and be driving in a Chevron in another championship. So such is the life of a racing driver of Nuttall's calibre. He's got to go and try and win another championship this afternoon.
The cars with 186 to 230 brake horsepower. That's another of the Boss Racing cars. They've got about 7 or 8 cars in this grid, and they're running for the leaders fairly quickly. But it does show how his opposition have advanced over the years, because Tim Davies used to win these races almost for fun.
Yeah, there's an engineering effort.
Play Gold that we told you about there, the very bright orange car, number 16 of Martin Ledbetter. It's retired so far. It's Jeremy Adams. He won Group 1 in the 24-hour race at Anglesey when
on that, so great for him to see him out there in this Mag 7 Championship and cutting his way through this field. There's Webb in that second place. He's also sort of cutting through this field. Once Stephen Nuttall's been through, they all know he's coming now, so they'll keep an eye on their mirrors a little bit more. So Nuttall's got to sort of initially do the cutting.
10, and this is Bruce Wilson, the number 89. Still got the number plates and lights there. He's lost a wing as well. There, Luke Suru, 27. He is still leading Class C. There is Redman in the 241. We get to lap.
And overtaking 2 as we go down into Redgate, just at will he can put that car wherever he needs to do. We saw Stephen Trinder on screen briefly, one of the drivers sort of with those lower spec cars.
That was David Stephen, the Class A leader, passing Malcolm Ash, the Class B leader, for position. They're fighting for 20th place overall. They're 3 laps down on our race leader now. We have seen these
straight there going down the exhibition straight. Normally in a Caterham we brake just after the second hump to get it slowed down, but it's such as the speed of Nuttall's car that he's having to brake, I think, just slightly before the rise in the track, and then manages brakes over it. But as we see, I think Pittard probably going to come across the line ahead of Davies this time through. He was riding on his tail last time through, so we'll see. Or is it still nose to tail, I think, going across? But let's keep an eye out whether Pittard's made it back up to third.
There's Richard Webb in the doorless MK Cup 200. He's still second. He's dropped a long way. He's pulled into the pits as well, so another leading player in problems. So Carter has pitted in the number 42 with some sort of an issue. Saw Colin Watson pull in earlier. He didn't lose too much time because he's one of the quicker and more powerful Class I cars, the most powerful class of aside for power outputs of over 301 horsepower. Of course, classes J and K are for the cars with motorcycle engines, so we haven't got any Class J in last time through, and he's lapping nearly 2 seconds quicker, so I reckon Christian Pittard will get P2 before the end of this race.
Yep, so after that stall, second in class, third on the road. Webb's the next man up the road, 2 seconds a lap faster. We should
29, I think he's moved it from there. Now we can see just on the left, he's got into the pit lane, I think. He stopped in the pit lane entrance. You can just see on the
race, will they cover it under double yellows just to see this race with the last 2 minutes 50 seconds to complete?
Stephen Trinder is the car that stopped in pit lane entrance, number 75. He's an Caterham Academy car in Class A, so that's the car we've lost coming out of the final chicane, and the red flag is coming out.
Yep, so a couple of pit lane entrance blocked, a car stuck, between McLean's and Coppice, so they've decided they will red flag this. I doubt very much they will get that back up and running. They are being sent into the pit lane around Trinder's stricken car. A little bit of dirt on the inside of the chicane.
Right, guys, well, I hope you liked that. That was race 1 completed with a P2 position. Let's see how we get on in race 2.
On the green flag lap, and the red lights are on. 30 minutes of racing for the CSCC Magnificent Sevens gets underway. Super start by Rich Webb, the lightweight motorcycle engine car rockets away into Redgate for the first time. Tim David and Pittard has taken the lead. They're going to lap Peter French in the number 99, so back markers being passed already. We're only 5 laps into this race as Tim Davis dives through at the chicane. Caterham gets ahead of the motorcycle engined MK. Look alongside him there, you can see it's so lightweight, that MK, even compared to the Caterhams. Must be like driving a go-kart out there.
You can see it.
So for 4th place, he's lapping on about the same pace. He's made it up to P5, so he's maybe not able to match his fellow Class I runners here. Johnny Pittard in this race. 5 entries in Class I, of course. He's only got 4 out in this one because Stephen Nuttall has departed to head up to Croft. As Malcolm Ash, number 21 in his Caterham Super Sport, goes for a package of races. Great to have them guesting with us here this weekend on the BARC's Caterham Motorsport package for this 50th anniversary weekend. There's the battle for second place. Tim Davis, see what his gap is to Christian Pittard here. 3.2 seconds between the 2 leaders now. He's closing very slightly on Christian Pittard. Big horsepower. Richard Carter, one of the Boss racing machines, made a pit stop in race 1 and dropped down the order. Less than a second between these two, though. Bruce Wilson and Richard Carter, both long-time drivers in this Magnificent Sevens series, fighting for 8th place overall. William Redmond, the Class F leader. Yellow flags at the run between McLean's and Coppice. We know not the reason why. I couldn't see anything there. More restrictive on what tyres you can use in the lower classes here. Class E has tyre restrictions as well.
It's so important in these championships, and as far as how these cars work and the dynamics, so you can understand why they're controlled.
We'll mention that 420R championship specification cars running Class E.
I was coming through here then. The 51 there of Pittard, our leader, race leader, cutting through the other cars and classes. But that's part of it. It's all about that power to weight ratio, and then, like you say, the fact that the very, very capable 7 Championship UK car isn't considered to be a top flight in this Mag 7s. But obviously they're different types of championship. They're meant for different things. This is an engineering and see what you can do with the 7 concept. And the 7 Championship UK is all about having a completely even championship and driving for that national level competition. There's a lot more spread out in the Mag 7s championship, as you can see on screen.
Car, that's another Boss Racing run car, the 420R, leading the most numerous class here today, Class F.
Great to see the boss in full attendance. So this is sort of like their heartland of the cars that they kind of like to engineer, put together, and offer up for rental as well. They're a bit slow there for the.
Yes, Richard Carter's slowing down. He had problems in race 1 and called into the pits, so he's in trouble again here, sadly.
Maybe the hot weather not treating as we said.
Tim Davis is going for it.
Can only put that down to traffic, can't you, really? Because they are fighting left and right as they go and fight their way through.
Yes, if that starts flapping around too much, you'll get the black and orange flag and have to call into the pits and remove it.
Yeah, so different circuits and different parks treat them differently, but if it looks like it's fairly solidly on there and not going to release from the other side, they will keep it going. But it's normal. As Collins comes down here alongside the number 27 car now, so Zero, the class leader there, fighting around with Collins, who's also leading his class against Hollerud.
Yes, all these three are leading their classes. They've been together all race long. Collins, Boyles and Zuru. Jeremy Adams second to William Redman in Class F. He's made his way. Tim Bishop didn't take the start. Andy Yeoman's out up at McLean's. And we asked, and as I say that, who's that's gone into the gravel? Is that Bruce Wilson? It looks like it's a blue car. I'll tell you that. I think it might be the 89 of Bruce Wilson.
It's a Coppice, I think, isn't it, onto the exhibition?
Yes, Davis. We'll wait and see who that other car was there. It looked like a red or an orange car. I can tell you that was going off onto the grass on the left, unless it was Davis and he quickly got it going.
It's a little contest in the corners as well, like we said, from Steve Nuttall and these drivers, Pittard and Davis. They're just cutting their way through the field and making their way all the way around this 2-mile Donington National Circuit. 1 minute left for them to get over the line, see whether they will get back over the line. I'm sure they will from this top end of the circuit next time through. Great result for him. He's just got about 1 point. It's 5 miles left of this to go. Here's the old hairpin track corner at the bottom of the hill. A fantastic bit of tarmac down here. Safely navigated one more time.
No result from Croft in the Guards Trophy as yet, so we can't tell his start in race 1 and stalled. No problem for Christian Pittard this time after he caught and passed the motorcycle engine MK Cup 200 of Rich Webb, who led the early stages. Caterham CSR is coming in to take an easy victory down into the chicane for the final time. He's won here at Donington in the longer pit stop races with the CSCC Magnificent Sevens before Christian Pittard comes in to win at Donington here on 50th anniversary weekend. Well done to Christian Pittard. Tim Davis will come over the line to take second place. On the lead lap, it should be Rich Webb, the winner of Class K. In third place there is the MK Cup 200. How's our battle of the class leaders going to finish with that? Collins, Boyles along with Luke Tsuru. Well, Tsuru pulled away in the end. He comes across the line ninth. Collins just beats Stephen.
Right guys, well I hope you liked the highlights there of the CSCC Mag 7s and the Cup 400, an absolute weapon. If you want to know more about the range from the Cup Series on the Cup 200 or the Cup 400, obviously hook up Atomic Racing, speak to Dave or Rich there and they will definitely fill you in all the details. Now, I cannot say how fast that car is. It's an absolute monster. So I'm looking forward to its next outing. Next up, let's talk about all the other cars and the kits that you want to know more about that range. The RX-5s, the Sport 200s, the K20 cars. Come down here at the factory and have a chat with the guys here with Andy, Neil, etc. in the team. They can talk you through the process. Or if you're a bit further afield, we can do it over Zoom calls, not a problem as well. So that's it for this week, guys. Remember to like, share and subscribe. And yes, we will definitely catch you next week.